Welcome to this video. I'm going to be showing you how to take basic text like this and convert it into really awesome title graphics for your games. If you really like this content, don't forget to subscribe. So let's get started. In Photoshop, we're going to create a new file. It's going to be 1920 by 1080. And I want to add some text. I'm going to be using the Strasua font, and you can find the download link in the description below. I'm going to be using the size of around 220 point. You can just type that directly into there in order to set the size. And it's going to be a white colour. Okay, I'm just going to click anywhere and type in the name of my game. You can call your game anything you like. Mine is called Psy Battle. Using the move tool, I'm just going to move that into place. So before I make any modifications, I want to duplicate this by dragging it onto the new layer icon at the bottom. Switch off the original, and now I can apply my effects. First of all, I want to give it a bevel and emboss, and notice that it makes it stand out a little bit more. I'm going with the default values, depth of 100, size of 6. I'm also going to give this a stroke. Okay, which once again makes it stand out by giving it this black outline. I'm also going to use a gradient overlay. I'm going to use the basic black to white gradient overlay, which gives it a slightly metallic look. And click OK. Now I want to apply a second stroke. So what I want to do is actually rasterize what I have already. Rasterization turns these procedural effects into pixels. So right click, choose rasterize layer style, and now it's part of the image. So once again I can come down to effects, stroke, give it a second stroke, and this time I want this color to be sort of a darkish red, something like this. Click OK, and I'm going to change the size of this to about a 12 so that it really kind of stands out, and I'm going to click OK. Now I want to affect that outer stroke, so once again I want to turn it into pixels. So I'm going to right click, rasterize layer style, then I'm going to come down to effects, bevel and emboss, and this time with the depth I want to change this to about 969. I also want to give it an inner shadow as well, which is just going to darken that down a little bit and make it look slightly more metallic. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to right click on this and rasterize layer style again. Okay, and it's starting to take effect. So I'm just going to once again duplicate this by dragging it down into the new layer icon. Drag this above what I have already, switch it on, and we can see that text now. And under the FX, I want to choose a color overlay. And I want the color to be relatively bright red, something like this. Click OK. And I want to once again rasterize that. So I'm going to right click and rasterize the layer style. Now I want to cut out most of this text. So to do this, I'm going to go to select, load selection, which selects all of the outer text. I'm going to go to select, modify, and I'm going to feather by 15 pixels. Click OK. And now I want to go select, inverse, so I'm selecting everything except these inner parts, and just press delete. Notice that that gets rid of quite a lot of the outer part of that text. I'm going to go to select and deselect. Now I want to come down to the shape tool where you've got your rectangle tool. Choose rounded rectangle. I'm going to set the radius to around 75 pixels, so it's relatively rounded. I'm going to choose a fill of black, and the stroke is just going to be this with the line through it, which means no stroke at all. Now I'm just going to draw this, so I'm going to cut out all of the top part of that red image. Now at the moment it's a shape, so I want to rasterize that to turn it into pixels. So right click, rasterize layer. Now I can do select, load selection in order to select that item. Switch it off, come back down to Psy Battle, copy to. I'm going to go select, modify and feather. Once again 15 pixels, that's going to make it a really kind of smooth line. and then I simply want to press delete. Go select and deselect, and so now we've basically cut out the top part and we've retained the bottom part. This rounded rectangle we no longer need, so we can drag that down onto the trash can or dustbin at the bottom. Now this side battle copy 2, what I want to do here is change its blend mode, and let's try a few. So darken's pretty interesting, I quite like that one, but I can use the roller on my mouse to actually move through them until I find one that looks really interesting. Lighten wasn't bad actually. Actually I quite like color dodge. I think I'm going to go with color dodge there. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to duplicate this again, so drag it down onto the new layer icon in order to create a second version. This time, instead of color dodge, let me try something like a linear dodge is quite nice, and I want to take the opacity down to something like about a 50%. Let's see what it looks like before and after. So that was before, that is after. It just brightens it up a little bit at the bottom. Okay, excellent. Now I want to make this look more metallic, and I'm going to do that by using one of these layers and a color lookup. So this adjustment will make a difference. The 3D LUT, I'm going to use the drop down and choose a crisp winter look. Okay, and that's just going to make everything a little bit more blue. Notice how it now looks a lot more metallic. Okay, once again, I'm going to come down to an adjustment layer. And this time I'm going to use brightness and contrast. Okay, now I'm just going to increase the contrast a little bit in order to make that more metallic. So maybe 26. The brightness, I'm just going to bring this down just a little bit to about a -27. This way I get that nice kind of metallic feel. Now let's see what this looks like with a black background. So I'm going to click new layer at the bottom, drag this all the way down to the bottom, use my paint bucket tool, make sure that my color is set to black, and there we've got it. Okay, so it looks pretty interesting. Now I actually want to cut this out, so I'm going to use the rulers. If you're not seeing your rulers, just go to View and Rulers. Make sure that that is actually switched on. I'm just going to drag one from the top, just click and drag to get it relatively close. One underneath, relatively close, and then from the side, once again, relatively close. Alright, looks pretty good. Using this tool, the rectangle selection, I'm just going to click from the top left to the bottom right in order to select that area. And then under image, I can then choose crop, and it crops it down. Now I can go to View and clear those guides. Select, deselect, and obviously switch off that black background. So now I want to actually save out this item. So just get rid of that black background. I don't need this side battle text anymore. What I want to do is basically flatten this out as layers. So I want to right click and I want to choose merge all those layers together. And there we go. Alright, so we've now created this really interesting text effect. We can now go to File, Save As. You can save it as a PSD. You can also save it as a PNG with transparent background, and then import that into your game engine to use as your game title. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.